system. We have a young man from the community of Grosile by the name of Dalton Polius. He has represented St. Lucia at the under 15 level, under 17 level, under 19 level, and at the senior level. Every year, Dalton Polius and scores of young cricketers, they get an opportunity, an invitation to play cricket in the UK. These are young men who do not necessarily, Mr. Speaker, get employment in St. Lucia. So they profit the opportunity during the UK summer to go to the UK for about 5-6 weeks, and they make good money while they're up there to complement whatever little that they have. When we were in government, Mr. Speaker, we used to help them out by providing a plane ticket. Accommodation, food, and other living expenses in the UK would have been theirs to meet, Mr. Speaker. For 2 years, Dalton Polius knocking on the doors of the government, asking for a ticket to go and play his little league cricket in the UK, where he is killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He gets to refine his skills to better equip him and prepare him to represent the national team. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, it is a form of livelihood for him. On both occasions, Dalton Polius has been turned down. And there are a number of other young sportsmen and women in this country who come and they tell those stories. And it breaks my heart. And this is not a blame game. All I am trying to do here this morning, Mr. Speaker, is to give expression to the concerns of those young sportsmen and women whose parents and the family structure do not enable them to have the means. They're not like some where the parents can pay a ticket for their children and accompany their children on meets overseas, especially in certain sporting disciplines. But these same athletes, when they do well on the international stage, we are always happy to be parading them and trying to make mileage on their achievements. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, this is wrong. We have to...
Now, in trying to take praise and lay blame, we have to be careful that we do not misrepresent the facts. Yeah. The member for Dennery North said, and he gave an example to substantiate his point. He said, for example, that Dalton Polius had not received assistance from the government of St. Lucia and that he was turned down when he sought assistance from the government of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, I did not want to interrupt him and to stand up and object. But I'm saying to you, Mr. Speaker, that that was a false statement. Mr. Speaker, since I became parliamentary representative for Grosile this term, Mr. Dalton Polius has had reason to come to me for assistance, and he received assistance. Mr. Speaker, if you wish, I don't want to make my phone a document of the House. But I have here a WhatsApp message from Mr. Dalton Polius. Thanks for the assistance, Mr. Montoute. I booked my flight and I will be leaving on Monday. That was sent to me on June 29, 2018. Now, how does that stack up against what was said? I don't know. But let me tell you what the truth is now, Mr. Speaker. This same Dalton Polius, when I was sports minister, I recognized the talent in him, and we embarked upon a program called the Elite Athletes Program. And one aspect of that program was to take some of those elite athletes, provide them with employment. So they would go to the schools and do some coaching and inspirational and motivational speeches and so on, and that they would schedule their timetable themselves to facilitate their training and their travels. And when they come back to St. Lucia, they go back to the sports ministry and they have a job. He fired that same member for Dennery North, became sports minister subsequently, and fired every one of them, including the same Dalton Polius that he's advocating for right now. Mr. Speaker, that is the truth. That is the reality. So when people are beating their chest, you let them do it sometimes because, you just don't want to engage, in those kind of things. Now, Mr. Speaker, and to talk about athletes who do not get support from the government, Mr. Speaker, the cabinet of the United Workers' Party, headed by the Honorable Prime Minister, the Honorable Alan Chasney, met last month or 2 months ago, and approved economic costs for a young man by the name of Jonel Eugene because he is a national sports personality, he is a national cricketer. They endorsed economic costs, that kind of support for him to go to the University of the West Indies to pursue his studies. Now this Jonel Eugene, he has pedigree, you know, Mr. Speaker. He is the son of John Eugene. John Eugene, one of our outstanding cricketers in this country, one of the most talented cricketers that I have ever seen. The best cricketer never to play test.
What constituency is
he? He comes from the constituency of Groseley. Mr. Speaker, John Eugene has captained West Indies B before Darren Sammy. This was the individual who had gone the furthest. Recognizing his talent, his passion and involvement, after his heyday in cricket, he got involved in coaching. He got involved in coaching. He got involved in coaching. You know, he was during your time. He was during your time. He got involved in coaching, Mr. Speaker. Started his own academy, John Eugene Cricket Academy. I saw the ambition, the passion, and the involvement of the young man. I put him in the league of people like Stuart Charles. Where Stuart Charles, in his case, it's football. These people breathe, talk, work, everything is about their sport. I said, we cannot waste that talent. We brought him into the Ministry of Youth and Sports as a cricket coach. The fact that I brought him in, and he's from my constituency, and I tell you truthfully, Mr. Speaker, I had no clue what the man's politics is. I suspect what it was then. But that was not a criteria for me. And so I ignored that, and we brought him in because of his ability as a coach. But because that was done, the interpretation was that he is one of mine. As soon as the member for Denry South, the member for Denry South brought him back, sorry. As soon as the member for Denry North became sports minister, he was fired as a coach. Wow. Thankfully, there's a member from Denry South who is now sports minister. He is back in the ministry. That is what your record is. Don't come here beating your chest and playing as if, well, you know.
holier than thou?
Yes. So, now, he also spoke about Crafton and Martinez, two outstanding curators. I want you to hear that member for ancillary. Through you, Mr. Speaker. Two outstanding curators, because you're familiar with those gentlemen. I know they're your friends. You know their politics too. That is not for me to look about. I made a pledge on my platform that I will be the UWP candidate, but a Groseley representative, and I will represent every individual in my constituency. Mr. Speaker, when the UWP administration was in office, with all the proclamations about locals and pushing locals and everything like that, I, as sports minister, was threatened when I decided for the 2007 World Cup, Cricket World Cup. 2007 Cricket World Cup, the preparations were done before my time. When I came, everything was in place. 2010 Cricket World Cup. That's not how we operate. And that is not because I didn't know his politics, Mr. Speaker. That is not because I didn't know his politics. I did not fire the member for Castro South. We do things based on merit, based on ability, and I've said so before. He was doing a good job, so I kept him. Mr. Speaker, I was told, however, by the member for Castro South, who was then CEO, CEO of World Cup Cricket, that I had to engage a firm called Terra Firma out of Trinidad. I don't tell tales out of schools, you know. When I call names too when I say what I'm saying, because I can substantiate what I'm saying. I was told that I had to engage a firm called Terra Firma out of Trinidad to do the ground preparation for 2010 World Cup. I said, hell no. We have a young man in St. Lucia who has been acclaimed in the region, has been outstanding, has been very competent, very capable. I said, these are the opportunities we must give them to better themselves so that today, a member from Denver North can say he's one of the best in the world.
Speaker.
We gave
Mr. Speaker, on
we
a
gave
point
the
of order,
contract.
Mr. Speaker.
We gave the contract
Mr. Speaker, on a
to
point
Mr.
of
Crafton.
order. Mr. Speaker.